What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So we're taking a look at Cyberpunk here on the Steam Deck with GeForce NOW and SteamOS here. It's something I've been wanting to do for a while, and with the path tracing tech and the amount of time I've been spending with the game on deck, this was kind of the perfect moment to jump in and do this and kind of showcase why I like GFN here on the deck. Now, as far as settings go, I'm using the Steam Deck preset for local here, except I've gone through and turned off the lens flare and motion blur stuff, contact shadows, and turned anything that was high down to medium. That's basically the way I kind of run this game here locally on deck, and of course 800p 60 FPS is what we'll be capping everything to. Same thing if I jump over to GeForce NOW here with the RTX 4080. We are on the full maxed out path tracing preset, but with all the stuff here turned off for motion blur and all of that. No DLSS needed, no frame generation because we're running 800p and getting that technology preview for path tracing, and 800p the same with 60 FPS. So we'll get into it here and we'll start with the benchmark. And I gotta say, the Steam Deck's really running this game pretty well these days. It got a nice bump when it got FSR 2 not long ago, and so it's been holding its own here well, and I've enjoyed playing the game locally. But over on GeForce NOW, that 60 FPS smooth experience does make a big difference if you've got a good connection to the data center and on your network, and you can see the graphical differences just here in the benchmark. You can freeze frame just about anywhere and find dozens of differences in lighting and shadows and how realistic the world looks with these settings versus over on local. This is by no means a diss on the Steam Deck. I love how well this game plays locally on the deck, and with these settings I typically use. Great frame times and a good experience most of the time. But being able to get a full maxed out experience at 800p native and 60 FPS is pretty awesome with GFN. Now here is a scene that also showcases some of the graphical differences as we shift over to GeForce NOW and get much more realistic reflections and shadows and lighting, even seeing through that glass panel back there into the next one, and just the way everything interacts in the world, it feels much different, and it's really gotten me back into trying to get into some Cyberpunk, and having the Steam Deck's been a great way for me to get some extra time in. So if I'm not near a great connection, I can play locally, but if I am, I can jump on GFN's 4080 and really get the most out of the game. It looks gorgeous on the deck this way, it runs great at 60 FPS, and my latency is really good here. Now if I put these side by side, something else that you'll notice besides of course major graphical differences between the two is the battery life you're going to get. We're not running that much. We sip battery basically when we're cloud gaming and running GFN here versus our 26 or so watts that we're running over on local. You can really squeeze 3 hours, 4 hours out of cloud gaming, typically depending on how you run things, and I haven't even tried to cap the TDP or mess with anything else. You just get a lot of benefits when streaming versus running things locally. And when it gets into some scenes like this, of course, not only do we have the increased graphics and path tracing and all that on top of each other, the scenes just really look a lot different as we switch over here. And I just think it makes it worth it. If you're interested in cloud gaming, or you already have GeForce NOW, or you have a Steam Deck and you haven't really thought about it, or maybe cloud hasn't been your thing, it's really come a long ways, especially with GeForce NOW, who definitely has the best tech in cloud right now. It's a cool scene here with the car where we'll switch over to path tracing here on GFN, and you can see the reflections in the mirrors and just the difference in the scene. And for me as a tech junkie, this stuff means a lot, and it's a lot of fun to play the game this way. This is another scene that will demonstrate exact same load in, exact same time of day, rain, all that kind of stuff, and the scene just looks so different. As we get in here and move around, not only will you notice again a lot of graphical differences, especially if you freeze frame or pause anywhere here and really want to investigate, but the crowd density is another big thing here with GFN for me. The world feels so much more alive, and here's a good example of it here as we just start moving into this alleyway. It's pretty empty here locally, of course, running on low, but on high crowd density here you can see such a difference. And all over the world here as we get in with GFN, you get that crowd density, you get more NPCs walking around, you get more cars typically, and that type of thing. And for me, that just really makes the game feel so much more alive and immersive and fun to play in general. It looks absolutely gorgeous here and is a full world that feels busy no matter what time of day it is or wherever I'm at. And again, even traffic when you're driving around and getting kind of crazy here in Night City, there's just going to be more of everything, making the city feel more full and alive. And I think that's another pretty big benefit besides battery life and graphics and everything, is just how the game generally feels that way. Now, driving through here with the motorcycle is another pretty cool scene. You can see a lot of smoothness here through that turn and everything. The streamed from the cloud smooth quality 60 FPS is a smoother experience than over on the deck. It doesn't jitter around as much and it feels nice and smooth, and that translates over to combat as well. When you're playing locally, you can have those dips, as you'll see here, with a lot of effects and different things going on. And while the deck does a great job handling a game like Cyberpunk, even on these medium type settings here, it just doesn't quite hold up to the 60 FPS I would like to have that I do over here on GFN. And not only that, we're not going to get very many dips. It feels super smooth. I don't have any stutters, and of course I do have a great connection here, and that's when I typically use GFN. When I'm at home on my Wi-Fi or away somewhere where I know there's good internet, it saves my battery and I get a better experience out of the games when I'm talking about something like Cyberpunk. It looks absolutely gorgeous here on GFN's RTX 4080 here on the Steam Deck. This is mainly how I've been playing the game on my deck, unless I'm away or sitting in line to pick up my son for school or something like that where I want to play locally. That's fine, and that's the great thing about the Steam Deck, is I can do that. I can play the game locally when I need to, but when I have a great connection, I can use something like GFN, which is my favorite PC cloud gaming service, and play some of these games like Cyberpunk with better graphics, better frame rate, better battery life, less fan noise, and all that stuff. So anyways, guys, thanks a lot for coming and check out the video. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one.